the knowledge to get better at it. And the coach also is responsible for picking out of the crowd the person that has the physical attribute that is best suited, and it's going to train that person up even more because that person can go further. And that's what coaches in sports do. If we don't have a coach, let me say it this way, everyone needs a coach the same way athletes need coaches. And those coaches, that responsibility of that coach is to see in us what we don't see in ourselves. To remove the blocks that we put in front of ourselves so we can go further. To see what we cannot see. To hear what we cannot hear. Right? And to be our eyes and our ears to things that we say that we don't even hear ourselves saying. Right? In my practice, when I'm working with someone, I story listen. I will interview them much the way you're interviewing me now. And in an interview, I will ask them to begin as far back as you can and tell me about something that happened early in your life that you still use today. And that starts their storytelling. And yesterday, as a matter of fact, I was working with someone, a young man who he began at 10 years old. And his business today that he's founding is a business where he goes into financial services companies and he installs big technology and gets paid a lot of money. And he's now redoing his brand strategy. So he went back to 10 years old and said, at 10 years old, my family and my aunts and uncles would always come to me and say, can you fix this? It might be a cell phone, a VCR, it might be the new big screen TV that had shown up and he had to program it. And he was the fixer as a child. And then a few years later, he came home one day and he said, Mom, I want to play the trumpet. I discovered music at school. I want to play the trumpet. And his mother said, your uncle tried to play the trumpet. It's hard. He said, but Mom, I really want to play it. She said, well, if you're going to play it, you're going to stick with it. He got a trumpet from school. Within a year, he ended up in a jazz band, getting paid to play. Because he went from learning the scales to doing the practice to becoming good at it. We got selected by one of the coaches. Said, you're good at this. We're going to put you in the jazz ensemble. And he said the thing that was fascinating about going from playing the trumpet as a musician to playing the trumpet as a jazz musician was that as a teenager, he realized that he had the ability to innovate on the trumpet. So we're taking the notion of being the fixer. That's what he does today. He knew he was doing it at 10. He still does it today. When he goes to a big company and tells them that he knows best about how to do the implementation of the technology and what technology to employ, he's using his creativity and innovation skills that he learned as a trumpeter in the jazz ensemble. He knew how to improvise. He knew how to innovate and be creative on that horn. He still uses that today in the work he does in his professional life. I'm saying all that to say that a coach, which is who I am to the gentleman that I was working with yesterday, I simply listened to his story. And in him telling the story, I picked the things out that could serve him and help him accomplish more in what he wants to do today. And he's empowered now to say, you know what, that's right. I've always had these things. I'm very smart as a technologist, is what he said, but you've pointed out to me that I've always been innovative and creative and had the ability to improvise, and that's what's required in these big technology implementations. You've got to know when to zig and zag. So we all need coaches. And anybody listening that thinks that they're going to try to do this all on their own, get 2 more ears and 2 more eyes to help you hear what you can, even when you tell your own story. Because when he tells a story, he just tells a story. But when I heard the story, I said, here's some things that you can use to go and beat the competition. These are things you can use to to when you wake up every morning to know that you are empowered and a superstar when it comes to doing these particular tasks, because you've been doing it for decades. This is not new to you. You're not inventing a business. You've always been preparing yourself for this business. You picked the right business to be in because you've been training for this your entire life. You told me the story about when you were 10 years old and when you were a teenager. Those things you did then are things you use today. Now go do it.
That's awesome. But the twist to it is, just like every time you watch the movie, sometimes there's always a twist. But if you don't like your story, you can change your story. And I think that's one of the things that people fail to realize. Because in you telling your story, see, you come along where you got somebody else's story mixed in there with your story. So guess what? It's messing up your story now.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's I'd like to be Denzel Washington. I'm not, right? but there was a discussion that I got involved in online with a bunch of people I didn't know. And they were all in Europe. I think one was an actor. I think 2 or 3 actors, and then a director joined the conversation. And he said something that I thought was interesting in that conversation. And here again, I'm out of my league. I'm not an actor, director, producer in the traditional sense, right? But I was fascinated with this conversation, so I stayed in it. And I felt like an equal because now I'm confident about being able to fit in because I've got my own superpowers and I bring them when I come to these kinds of conversations. So the director said something I thought was very wise. He said, if you can't be in the movies, live your life as if you are in one. And what he was saying, and I'll deconstruct that, what he was saying is this. If you're at a point in your life where you don't like the movie that you're in, think of yourself as the producer, the director, the script writer, the casting director, the set designer, and change it. Because you are the actor in your own movie. And when you let somebody else write the script, shame on you. Because you should be producing your own movie. You should be writing the script for your own movie. Because you are the actor in your movie. And so each of us has the same opportunity. Yes. If I decide that I no longer enjoy living in Arizona, right? And I want to move to an island. I'm the set designer. I can change the set, right? And I can change that. Just do it. Because there's nothing stopping us if we believe that we want to do something. If we believe that we're that accountant working at a big company, but we've always dreamed of having a business that sells X. Begin. There's a quote, and I think this is a good quote, because this idea of being your own producer, director, set designer, costumer, says that we are in control. Because we have all of those responsibilities to write our own script, to take ourselves to be on the set that we want to be on, to be the director. The casting director says the people that are on the script with us, we put in our script. Right? I don't have friends that somebody else has told me I should be their friend. They're my friends because I'm the casting director. I cast them in my movie. So here's a quote from an old German guy that lived in the 1600s. But I appreciate his wisdom because he said this. And this is about committing to take the responsibility to be the producer, director, script writer in your own movie. Our responsibility. We have to commit. But here's what the old German guy said. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, that ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. The moment that one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance, which no man could have dreamed would have come his way. And here's the kicker. Whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Because boldness has genius, power, and magic in it, so begin it now. Write your own script, produce your own movie, be the actor in the movie that you want to be in, and do it now. Because boldness, being bold, means that providence is going to move in to help you get all that done.
And then another thing too, is when you are writing your story, when you are writing your script, and you decide to change, but you always have a plan. Because as you were speaking earlier about the people that you were working with, it all stems from them having a plan, and it needs to be a workable plan. It can't be just one that you have just thrown together. But along your journey, if you see that your plan needs tweaking, tweak it. Do anything but stop. If this is not working, okay, let's try this right here. Re-strategize and just keep it moving forward. Because there's just so many people that stop along their journey. They be so close. They be right there. But because it got hard, because it got difficult, they done got to their fork in the road. They stored and got all jumbled up. They can't see the forest for the trees. And they just give up. Now imagine you. Where do you think you would be today if you hadn't had that support, that you had somebody encouraging you and telling you your worth? Where do you think that you would be at today?
I probably would have gone back to a company and sold technology, right? Because that was a skill that I knew and I was comfortable in. But I wanted more for myself. I wanted to be in charge of myself and not working for someone else. And in order to do that, I had to take control of my opportunities. And so I'm grateful to all the people that have come into my life that have encouraged me to think about my own strength and to acknowledge my own strength, and to build on that and get stronger, right? It's like weightlifting. So you've discovered your strength. You don't stop there. You have to nurture that muscle to keep it in shape and hopefully make it stronger. And that's what growth is all about. But I want to build on what you were saying about having a plan. Because remember, when I was doing social media, I immediately began doing business planning, because that, without a plan, you can't measure anything that you're doing. Because the plan says, in the next 12 months, I want to be here. I want to have X number of sales and Y number of customers and this much revenue. If in 12 months you've met that target, you can then set a new target that can grow by 15% in the following year. If you miss that target, you can adjust to find out why. But without a target, you're just out there treading water. You don't have a plan. And there's an old, I don't want to call it an old tool. There's a SMART tool, and it's called setting SMART goals. Mm-hmm. And it's an acronym, SMART. SMART goals mean that you make the S stands for make it specific. It's defined and has an endpoint, a target. It's specific. It's measurable. Attach a number to it. Right? That's measurable. It's achievable. Don't set a target that I'm going to make $1 million in the next 3 months, unless you really can do that. Because if it's achievable, go do that. But be realistic. And based on your existing performance, set an achievable number, right? That's specific, measurable, and achievable, SMA. The R is relevant. Make it a goal that's in line with everything else in your business that you're trying to do. Make it a goal that's aligned and relevant to the experience